Question number 6 says that give one example of a situation in which the mean is an appropriate measure of central tendency. So let's understand in which cases mean is an appropriate measure of central tendency. So mean is an appropriate measure of central tendency in all cases where it is important to take all the observations into account or into consideration, and the data does not have any extreme values. Because extreme values in a data affect the mean, and this is one of the weaknesses of the mean. So if the data has a few points which are very far from most of the other points, then mean is not a good representative of data. So we can take an example and understand this. So let's say we have a data which has data points 1, 7, 8, 9 and 9. So in this case we can see that the data point 1 is very far from 7, 8 and 9. So in this case mean is not an appropriate central tendency, measure of central tendency. So our values in a given data must be close to each other so that we can take mean as the appropriate measure of central tendency. So let's take an example wherein the data is about the different heights of different family members. In this case, it can be observed that the observations in the given data are close to each other. So we can say that mean will be calculated as an appropriate measure of central tendency. Now the next part of the question says we have to give a situation in which the mean is not an appropriate measure of central tendency, but the median is. So as already discussed, any data which has got extreme values can not have mean as its appropriate measure of central tendency. So let's take an example. So the following data represents the marks obtained by 12 students in a test. So in this case, it can be observed that there are some observations which are very far from the other observations, as can be seen that 48 is very far from 99, is very far from 97. So median will be calculated as an appropriate measure of central tendency.
To learn more about how QMath can help you crack school and board exams, explore QMath Leap, a live online classroom program run by highly experienced and committed teachers.